This is only a review. I'll be taking a look at the Sony DSC TX10 point-and-shoot camera, and this is my full review, but I will not be turning on the camera in this review. If you want to see like the main interface of the camera and how the touchscreen works, it'll be in another video. The link will be in the description, or you can go to my channel to find that video. So anyway, this is the Sony DSC TX10 point-and-shoot camera. This is the predecessor to the TX5 camera. This is waterproof, dustproof, shockproof, and freeze-proof. This is a rugged camera, which means that it's good for people that go hiking, biking, swimming, to the beach and stuff. Basically, this camera will take a lot of abuse before it actually breaks, which is a good thing. So if you're a person that does those kind of activities, it would be great for you. So anyway, let's get on with the review. And I did get it in the black color. And they do make it in different colors, but I thought black is more a professional color, so I decided to go with the black color. And this will shoot video at full 1080. It will shoot high definition videos, and it will take still pictures at 16.2 megapixel, which is really nice. On this side of the camera, you just got two screw holes. It is flush. On this side of the camera, you got a door, and in this door you got an HDMI port and a port to sync it and charge it to the computer. And every door on this camera does got locks, because it is a waterproof camera, so if you take it underwater, it won't accidentally get the water inside. And of course, every door on this camera does got gaskets, so it won't get messed up in the water. It'll protect the doors. And there's a mini HDMI. It does got a mini HDMI port, and it does got a port to sync it and charge it to the computer, but that is proprietary, which means that you do have to use Sony's own USB cable. You can't use your own USB cable or a mini or a standard. You got to use Sony's own USB cable. And the batteries do charge in the camera itself, so you can't you can't buy a couple of batteries and leave them laying around charging, because all the batteries on this charge in the camera itself. But one good thing about that is you can charge it like on a computer, a 360, or in the car with a USB charger, which is nice. But they do make an extra wall charger, but it isn't. It doesn't come in the box. So for the most part, you have to charge the batteries in the camera itself, which is kind of a downside. And when you close the doors, they automatically lock, which is nice. And there's your strap support. It does got strap support, so you can't put on a strap. Moving to the bottom, it does got your standard tripod dock. And then, of course, you got another door. Of course, again, it got gaskets. In this door, you got your battery and memory card slot. And this does got a 24 megabyte memory internal. But for the most part, you'll be using memory cards, because 24 megabyte, you can only take about 3 pictures. But I guess it's okay if you forget your memory card, or if your memory card's full, you can take around 3 pictures. You can't take any video on the 24 megabyte internal memory, because it's too small, but at least you have internal memory. But for the most part, you'll be using cards. This will support SD cards, and it will support memory stick Pro Duos. This is a Sony product, so you can use memory stick Pro Duos. I mean, for a long time, Sony used to not let you use SD cards, but now they let you use SD cards, which is a blessing, which is really nice, because those are pretty cheap and standard. So anyway, you could use SD cards and memory stick Pro Duos, which is nice, and you can use the high-speed ones and the SDXC cards, basically, and you can use up to 32 gigabyte, but you can't use up to 62 gigabyte, basically, only 32 gigabyte. Anyway, on the back of the camera itself, you got your 3-inch touchscreen. This is an OLED, but this is a really nice touchscreen. I mean, the touchscreen is not as good as some of those smartphones, but it is pretty good. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there is a bezel around the touchscreen. There is a pretty big bezel. I don't know if you can see it, so the touchscreen isn't covering the whole back of the camera. There is somewhat of a bezel on the camera. And of course, it just says Sony. Moving to the top of the camera, I apologize for the quality of the video. Anyway, this says HD, AVCHD. It will record in AVCHD format, or it will record in MP4 format, which is really nice. It does got an XMR CMOS chip, which is supposed to be good in low light and bring out the colors, basically. It says 16.2 megapixels on it, and the model number is DSC TX10. It is waterproof to 5 meters. 5 meters is equivalent to 16 feet or foot, however you say it. And then you got your on-off button right here, a hard on-off button. You got a button to take the pictures, basically the shutter button. And then you got your zoom button. I do not like the zoom on here. As you can see, it is quite small. This does only boost the 4x optical zoom, but what do you expect in a pocket point-and-shoot camera? There's a zoom button right there. It is quite small. Then you got your playback button, and you got a dedicated movie button. Even if you're in the wrong mode, or even if you're in picture mode, you can still take the videos by pressing that button. You don't gotta go into the settings and change it to movie mode to start the movie. You could even take the movie even if you're in photo mode, like I said, which is really nice. And there is a delay on this camera, like 1 or 2 seconds. But some people have been saying like the delay on this camera is like a 4 or 5 seconds, but really the delay is not that bad. When you press the movie button, it takes around 1 or 2 seconds to start the movie. It won't start it automatically, just to let you guys know, it won't start the video automatically. But there is only a 1 or 2 second delay. It's not as bad as some people have been saying, and since the video is so amazing on this camera, it is worth it to wait a little bit. And of course, on the front where you get your lens, you just slide it down and everything's under the hood, basically. And it turns on. You can hear the noise in the back. It does turn on after you slide it down. So it does got a Carl Zeiss or Zeiss lens, however you pronounce it. There's the lens right there. It does boost the 4x optical zoom, like I said. It does got optical steady shot. It does got right and left channels. And it does record in full stereo, which is really, really nice. There's your left and right channels, basically. There's your flash, and there's your light sensor. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and close it back up, and I'll be talking about this camera. Anyway, this is a really good point-and-shoot camera. It is kind of pricey though, I will have to admit. It's around $320 brand new, but I've seen it as low as around $250, but that's as cheap as I've seen it, basically. You will have to look somewhere else. Don't go to the Sony website, of course, because it is really expensive. You can find it like on Amazon and other places on there, and if you look around for about $250, maybe $230 at the cheapest. It does take really good videos. That's one reason I bought it. It does do amazing videos. It does take those 1080 videos, which are really, really nice. Anyway, it does shoot 16.2 megapixels. I won't say they're true 16.2 megapixels, because most of the time in these small pocket cameras, the sensor is not big enough to hold those megapixels. But I will say the pictures on here are better than most smartphones. They're really good. They're not, of course, they're not as good as any DSLR cameras, of course not. But the pictures are better than most smartphones. I will have to admit that. This does shoot 3D pictures, of course, but you can't test out the 3D pictures because the screen on the back is not 3D capable. So you have to have a 3D TV to test out the pictures. I don't have a 3D TV, so I can't tell you how the 3D pictures on here actually look. But it's supposed to take 3D pictures anyway. And this isn't an all-manual camera, just to let you guys know. But there are some manual features, like you can change the exposure, you can change the white balance, you can change the ISO, and you don't got you can't change the you can't do manual focusing on this camera, but you can like click a spot on the screen and it will focus on one thing, one subject you point at, or click on the screen basically. It does got some kind of focusing feature, but it's not completely manual. But I guess it's better than nothing. Anyway, and the menus in this camera are really good. The menus in this camera are actually kind of geared toward beginners. Basically, all the menus are laid out and easy to understand. They're not like some of those DSLR cameras where the menus are really hard to understand and stuff. They're not complicated. What I'm saying basically is their menus in here are for beginners. They're really easy to understand and they're laid out really nicely. It does got some features like the sweep panorama, where you just go from left to right basically, and you'll get like a landscape picture. It'll like stitch a one long picture together basically. And this does got some features like wind noise reduction, which is really nice. I haven't actually tested out the wind noise reduction, but it's supposed to have wind noise reduction, so if you're outside when it's windy, it'll like have like a little covering over it to protect, so you won't hear the wind in your videos if you're trying to talk. And this will make folders. You can create folders on the fly straight from the camera, but you can't name them or anything. You can't even you can't name them or nothing. It just goes by numbers. Like if you have a folder, like it'll go like 102, 103, 104. It'll put them by numbers. So like if you have a video, if you're taking like videos or photos in a certain place, like if you're on vacation, you can put them all in a certain folder. So when you go to the computer, you'll know what folder you put them in. They won't be all messed up in like different folders. You can have them in separate folders. Like if say you're on vacation, you can have vacation photos and videos in one folder. You can have like maybe vlogs and stuff in like one folder, which is really, really nice. As you can see, the size of this camera is really, really small. I do like that. You can customize the menus on here, only the left side though. Like the things you use the most, you can have them on the main screen, which is really nice. And like I said, there's two ways to turn on this camera. You can use the on-off button or slide it down. It's really nice if you're just playing back videos, or if you're just trying to change some settings and you don't want the lens to get dirty or dusty. You can just turn it on and off with that button, which is really nice. Those are some nice features. And you can see it is the cover is flush with the body. It's not like sticking out like some T-series cameras. This does got most of the T-series features. Like it does got the calendar. It does got that sweep panorama. Just some of the T-series features, like most T-series got. This is, like I said, this is the predecessor to the TX5. If you're looking for a rugged camera, I would get this over the TX5. And one thing to let you guys know is this does got a better screen than some of the other rugged cameras. The screen on here, I don't know the specs on it, but it's really high resolution. I mean, it's not OLED, but it's really high resolution. Out of like the Nikons and like Panasonic rugged cameras, this does got one of the best high resolution screens. So if you're looking for a rugged camera that got a really good bright, crisp, high resolution touchscreen. This does got a really high resolution touchscreen. I mean, the touchscreen is not as good as some of the smartphones. I mean, touching it, but I'm talking about the resolution. When you play back videos, they look nice and crisp. They look really good. And one problem with this camera is, I'll go with for the cons. Some problems on this camera are, you do got a proprietary cable, which means that you can't use your own USB cable, which is one downside. Another downside of this camera is the battery is really bad, and you have to charge it in the camera itself. And I'm more than an average user. I use it like 3 or 4 hours a day, and the battery won't even last like maybe like 40 or 50 minutes, especially recording 1080 videos. It drains the battery really bad, and especially if you're using it in bad conditions when it's really cold outside. It does good in the cold, like it says. It's freeze proof, but it does drain the battery a lot, so try not to use it in cold conditions as much as possible. I would recommend getting a couple batteries and buying the battery charger, because it does consume a lot of battery. I don't like the battery on here. It's really bad. It's only like a 630 milliampere. It's not that big. But overall, this is a good point-and-shoot camera. I highly do recommend it, and don't shy away from it just because you're a professional that uses DSLR cameras. And even if the menus are a little simplified, and it's not all manual, it does got some manual features, like I said. But for the most part, this is an automatic camera, and it does got a macro mode. It is good for unboxings and stuff, and it does got that automatic shooting mode where, like, if you go from light to dark, it automatically adjusts. If you leave it in automatic, it'll automatically adjust the settings for you, so you won't have to change the settings. Like if you do something up close, it'll automatically change the macro. Basically, the automatic mode knows what condition you're in, and it automatically changes the settings. Like if you put something up close to the lens, it'll change the macro mode. If you go outside to dark, it'll put twilight mode on. Or if you like go outside and it's really big, it'll go like the landscape. If you leave it automatic, it'll automatically go to automatic modes. And it does got cool things like twilight, which is nice, which takes like 5 pictures in the dark, and it combines them all and basically makes it a crisp picture, so you don't have to use the, like if you're in a dark restaurant, not like totally dark, but like low light like restaurant, and you want to take a picture, but you don't want people to know that you're using a camera, like letting the flash go out. You could use like twilight mode. You want to take like 5 pictures in the dark and combine them. Basically, it'll look at the same picture and see like what areas have grain out of those 5 pictures, and try to make it a smooth picture, so you won't have to use the flash in the dark if you don't want people to know you're using a camera. That's another nice feature. This does got a lot of features on it. It is for 300, and I paid 350 for like 350. I would have to say it's a little steep, but there are some features on here that other point-and-shoot cameras don't have, that only Sony cameras have, which is kind of nice. And I have to give the Sony DSC TX10 point-and-shoot camera a good score of a 9.5 out of 10. Pros are really good video, a lot of features, good photos, small size, good ruggedness camera, a good rugged camera. It has a good a screen in the back. Of course, it's not OLED lit, but it does got a good screen in the back, a good bright, crisp, high resolution screen. It can use Memory Stick Pro Duos, and it can use SD cards, which is really nice. And it got modes that other cameras don't have, only the Sony cameras have, which is really nice. But some of the cons are, you have to use a proprietary USB cable, which is a downside. Another downside of the camera is the battery is really bad. You'll have to buy 3 or 4 spares. That's pretty much it for the cons, but overall I do give the Sony DSC TX10 point-and-shoot camera a solid 9.5 out of 10. I can't give it a 10, of course, because there are some problems, like I said. Anyway, I won't be turning on the camera in this review, like I told you in the beginning, but there'll be a link in the description if you want to see like the actual main interface and stuff, and the specs and what's on the camera. I will be making a video of that. You can check that out. Links in the description, or you can go to my channel. I will have a video up to show you the main interface and how the touchscreen works and everything. So I hope you enjoyed the review for the Sony DSC TX10 point-and-shoot camera.